Welcome to Facts TV News, where everything is true. From sleeping under a tree to feeding hundreds, a philanthropist's story. Donahue Nelson knew all about survival. At age 10, he slept under a tree after being kicked out of the house by his grandfather. His step-grandmother never wanted him in her house, and so he found a tree close to the gully in the community of Morse Clarendon, where he sought solace. After seeking shelter in the outside kitchen of his grandfather's home and being discovered there early one morning because he could not slink away, he received a thrashing he can still recall, leading to his sleeping under a lime tree close to a gully. Thankfully, his grandmother's house was finally completed and he could go live with her, but the abuse he suffered saw him acting out during his teenage years. By then, I was like one of those kids out of control, and she couldn't really control me. I go to school when I feel like. I hung with the boys then. I'd rather do that than go to school, but I ended up in gully cooking with guys and all of that, he reminisced. Nelson is thanking God for the persons during his early years in Moors who had his back. He said that had it been a different community, he might have ended up with a police record or possibly dead, as during his wild years, the respect residents had for his grandmother saw them treating him differently. My grandmother was like a mother to persons in the community, always assisting, so they had a lot of respect and love for her, he shared. Nelson said he started out working as a chef and later became a security guard, a job he had to con his way into. After trying to get into the program, and they asked my age, and I said 17, they told me I had to wait another year, he said. However, Nelson said he couldn't wait that long, so he borrowed his friend's birth certificate and got the job. Recalling with humor how his youthful exuberance almost caught up with him, Nelson said that there were times that they shouted his friend's name and he couldn't remember that he was supposed to be that person. Nelson said his life seen God's hand at work from day one. After getting married and migrating, Nelson eventually started his own business as an event promoter. He has experienced many near misses, including beating cancer and surviving a bike crash that left him with broken ribs and a long time back of the recovery. Fast forward to 2021, and Nelson is now into year 2 of an outreaching exercise he started in his community of Moors, where he has been issuing care packages, feeding hundreds. He said the idea to issue care packages to needy residents came after he decided to host a fundraiser in his backyard for a friend who had a medical condition and needed money to keep up with the treatment. The fundraiser netted $11,000, and it was then that he thought he could do the same thing to help those in the community he was from. With sponsorship from Sampars and proceeds from a fundraiser, Nelson presented 150 care packages last week to residents. The packages contain, among other things, chicken and bread. In addition to the packages recipients receive, which Nelson gave from his own pocket. Looking beyond the outreach, he is urging others to follow his example and give back if they can. It's always good to try and give back. For me personally, I look at myself and I say God comes to more and pluck me out, and he takes me and helps me, so it's only natural that I give back. Post-Christmas joy turns to sorrow. When novelette Gail made the financial sacrifice to expand her family home in the Silent Hill community of Manchester by adding a kitchen to the building just ahead of the Christmas season, she had no idea that she would have lost everything in a fire just days later. The 49-year-old, along with some of her siblings, children and grandchildren, occupied the family home for years, having inherited it from our own parents, said everything they worked to acquire seemed to have vanished within minutes on Sunday. I wasn't home at the time the fire started. Some minutes to 9 p.m., my daughter was there lying in her room with her baby, but she said she didn't smell anything burning. When she looked out the door jab, she saw smoke coming from the next room. Gail said her son, who was standing on the outside, was alerted to the smoke and quickly rushed in. Just as he went in and pulled away a settee in the room where the smoke was coming from, there was an explosion with an empty gas cylinder, she said. Gail said her son quickly grabbed a baby who was sleeping in the house and gathered the others to escape what could have been a fatal fire. The place just started burn and everything was lost. But thank God my children, siblings, in-laws, and grandchildren were outside. It's just the granddaughter of my brother's wife that got a little burn on her leg. According to Deputy Superintendent at the Mandeville Police Station, Ron Powell, the fire, which has left 9 persons homeless, has completely ravaged the 5-apartment building by the time firefighters arrived. We received a call approximately 9:25 p.m. We were able to contain the fire to a point and cool down what was already damaged. The estimated loss is valued at approximately $12 million, Powell said. The deputy fire chief said they have not yet determined the cause of the fire owing to the extent of the damage. Gail reported that the structure of the house was mainly concrete, with sections of the floor and her new kitchen made of board. I did some refurbishing and used plyboard to build on my kitchen because I didn't have the space for it. I put in my little sink and everything, and all of that gone to dust. My documents, my identification cards, sewing machine, my deep freeze, my brother's deep freeze and standing fridge, tables, beds, and my nephew who is in grade 7 at Christiana High School lost his tablet also. Nothing at all, but the clothes we had on was safe, Gail added. She said the displaced family members, with the youngest being 3 weeks old, have since sought temporary shelter with other relatives across the parish. Her ideal, however, is to rebuild her home as soon as it is possible. To assist the family, you may contact Novelet Gail at 876-806-3414. Homelessness robs man of Christmas cheer. Chuck Dillon has not had a normal Christmas for 8 years. However, this year, the season has been one of reflection for a 42-year-old homeless man as he ponders who will bring some cheer. Taking up residence at the Crossroads bus stop for close to a decade, Dillon has not seen a normal Christmas after these years. His reflective demeanor was on full display as he sat on the Crossroads bus stop bench on Christmas Day with his small backpack containing all his belongings beside him, waiting to see if someone would just pass by with some food for himself and 5 other homeless persons. Dillon was born in Glengough, St. Catherine, and dropped out of Glengough Secondary School 1 year before graduation. He enjoyed a normal life until his father and his stepmother, who raised him, migrated to Bahamas when he was in his mid-teens. My mother left me early, and I did not see her again, but it was all good for me because my father met another woman who became my stepmother. While both my father and my stepmother were living in Jamaica, I had a decent life growing up. I enjoyed Christmas dinner, cake, and Christmas gifts, but everything got worse after I went to live in Bahamas with my parents and was forced to return to Jamaica, Dillon noted. He continued, I was not able to work and live in the country because I didn't have papers. So I came back and was living at my stepmother's house in Glengough. Things changed when my father broke up with her. Dillon said his stepmother suddenly told him that he would not live in her house anymore, so he made the decision to move to Kingston. Since I came to Kingston, I have been living right here in Crossroads, doing odd jobs but not being able to save enough money to rent a room because the little I get from working, I have to buy food and other things I need, so I am unable to save anything. This Christmas is really bad for me as I sit here not having food to eat and not knowing if I will get any, the homeless man added, reminiscing on how much he missed the days when he used to have much to eat at Christmas. Dillon, who completed grade 10 at Glengough Secondary School, said he would love to do something permanent, like getting employed as a private security guard, but in the meantime, he is willing to continue working as a lawn service worker if someone would give him a steady job. NCU survey shows public distrust of government COVID-19 vax campaign. Jamaicans are deeply distrustful of the government's COVID-19 vaccine campaign, a viewpoint that has contributed to vaccine hesitancy, according to a recent study by Northern Caribbean University NCU. Of the 1,071 people surveyed across the country by NCU researchers, 80.3% indicated that they did not trust or were ambivalent toward the government's pronouncements on the matter. Less than 20% of respondents indicated that they trusted the government's COVID-19 vaccination campaign. The survey had a margin of error of 5% and involved people aged 18 and older. Further findings reveal that only a little more than half, 51.5%, the respondents regarded the vaccination campaign as educating and encouraging the public to take the available vaccines. The survey also showed that 61.4% of respondents objected to the vaccination campaign message being too forceful rather than persuasive. 2/3 of respondents indicated that government did not listen to and respond to the concerns of citizens regarding the COVID-19 vaccination. The survey also highlighted that most respondents, 64.1%, believe that the government was not using enough time and resources to reassure citizens that conspiracies about the COVID-19 vaccines were not true. Furthermore, the NCU research findings show that majority, 73.9% of the people who trusted the government have been vaccinated compared to a 41.3% vaccination level among those who did not trust the government. This means that 1.8 times more respondents who trusted the Jamaican government have been vaccinated compared to those who did not trust the government, explained lead researcher Paul Andrew Bourne. He noted that 74.3% of those who did not trust the government believe that the vaccination campaign is forcing vaccination, compared to 58.3% of those who trust the government. Most respondents, 62%, indicated that the COVID-19 vaccines were effective in preventing the virus, but views were split on whether there is a harmful agenda behind promoting vaccines, with 48.2% saying yes and 51.8% saying no. The NCU study was conducted September to November 2021 and sought to interally to determine whether trust is influencing the COVID-19 vaccine hesitancy among Jamaicans. The search findings come against the background of only 20.4% of Jamaica's population being fully vaccinated. There is a significant level of distrust about the government and the COVID-19 vaccine among Jamaican citizens that needs to be addressed, stated the chief researcher, who is the head of the Department of Institutional Research at NCU. The way forward is to build trust, transparency, and restoration of confidence in public institutions, inclusive of the healthcare system. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, and click the notification bell for daily updates.